Welcome back, Shalloners. Oh my God, this mess that's blowing up on social media right now between Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez is just, it's like watching two people fight outside, just like in a parking lot. It's just like, what's happening? And you can't help but watch it, even though it's such a mess. You're like, are they fighting about a scratcher? What are they fighting about? So if you don't know, here's what's been going on. Demi Lovato has a secret account called Trauma Queen Forever on Instagram. And we know this because she went live on that account with her boyfriend, who's like kind of whatever, but whatever. And that account, people are saying, had anti-Selena posts. Now, here's where the controversy comes in. Like, this is obviously Demi's account. You know, I don't think she's denying that. But what her camp is denying is that these particular anti-Selena screenshots are real. They're saying that the Selena stans made them to try to make Demi look bad. Selena's camp is saying, no, this is what she was posting. She's hateful. She hates Demi, or she hates Selena. It's just this soup of terrible. It's just this crazy, sad mess from two messy people. They're two messy celebrities. You might like them, but you cannot deny the accuracy. They are messy. I mean, I don't know which side I believe. Like, I almost believe that the only reason they wouldn't be from the Selena Gomez people is because Selena fans are so deranged and unhinged. I think they would have made way worse stuff. You know, I think they would have said like way crazier things to implicate Demi, but maybe they couldn't even bring themselves to say anything bad about Selena. I don't know. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's real or if it's fake. That's totally inconsequential to what we talk about here. What we actually care about is what we can learn from this. What lesson can we get from this? Because while you might not be an A-list singer celebrity, having your other A-list singer celebrity friend make Finstas about you, you probably have been betrayed by someone that you love. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What to do when someone betrays you, and more importantly, why they do it, and how to salvage that friendship, and if there's no salvaging it, how to see that and how to walk away without making the situation any worse. Backstabbing friends kick up such a reaction in us from I talk about this a lot, our tribal selves, you know, our caveman self, where it's like, this is my tribe and you're in my tribe and we're against that tribe and I know it. And if there's a dissenter in your ranks, I think betrayal is a primal emotion. Like, it's so awful. It's so awful because you're like, I had my life in your hands. Back in the day, that's how it was. I might have given you my child to watch. I gave you my family. Like, I put real things in your control. Now it's different. We might not have that tribal mentality so close to the surface, but we still are giving so much of ourselves to the people in our inner circle that when someone betrays you, it's shattering. It's absolutely shattering. I've talked about my big life betrayal. I mean, there's been a bunch, of course, and there's always it's gonna keep coming up. So this is why we have to get the skills to combat it. Actually, I'll tell my story when it weaves in. Okay, so there's some things you can do here, right? First of all, recognize that that's what you're feeling. Recognize that you're like, I feel so incredibly betrayed, and that sounds silly. It's like, well, of course I feel betrayed. Yes. But get in touch with that emotion rather than the anger on top of it. You know, it's like, well, fine, fuck you. I don't want you coming to my wedding anyway. Fuck you. What you feel is betrayal. And whatever you feel is completely valid. And like I said, betrayal is a very natural thing to feel because we are tribes people. Women need a village. We especially are pack animals. We're not lone wolves, you know? Healthy women are not lone wolves. We need our tribe. So once you can connect with that, you can start to acknowledge that, and that's how you start to work through it. Another thing you can do is get some perspective. Maybe the situation you're dealing with isn't betrayal. Now, with the Demi Selena one, I mean, there's kind of no other way to interpret that. It's just such a mess. It's just so wild and such a mess. Like, grow the fuck up. Grow up. All of you involved in this. But some situations aren't quite as clear cut. I remember a friend of mine in high school, she was running for clubs commissioner and she'd talked about it with all her friends. Everyone knew she wanted to run, blah, blah, blah. This was a big thing. And then kind of at like the last minute, our other friend was like, I think I'm going to run too. And it was like, we were watching this Demi Selena car crash. It was like people had to pick sides and blah. Are you on Lauren? Are you on Erica's side? And I because Erica was the one who run to run first, and I went to Lauren, I was like, yo, like, what are you doing? You know that she's wanted to do this. And she's like, but I have two. And I never wanted to say anything because I didn't want her to think that I was like doing it purposely to hurt her. I wasn't, but I have a lot of really good ideas for this position and I've always wanted to do it. I'm involved in more clubs than she is. I talk to people. I know what they want. And I still think there was an element of her doing it on purpose to spite Erica, but like she made a good argument. And I'm like, okay. And if she had been like, well, fuck you then. If you don't want to be on my side, no, why would I want what she has? Why would I want to copy her? If she had that bratty outburst, I would have been like, oh, okay, so I'm right. So you are just like copying her to spite her, right? But she was like, no, like this is something I thought about for a long time. And I agree that the timing was wrong and I should have brought it up earlier, but it's like the last week that I can apply to do it. And I don't see why I should clip my own wings and not go after something I want just because one of my friends wants it too. You know, like can't the best woman win? You know? So to me, I would never discount Erica's feelings of betrayal. That's of course how she interpreted it. But it gave me the chance to present a different argument to her. Like, you know what? She's not doing this just to hurt you. It does hurt you. Of course, that's the byproduct, but I want you to take out the element of personalization. The element that this was a bullet loaded in her gun and she was just waiting to fire it right between the eyes. That's not how it is. And when I was trying to help Erica get that perspective so that she didn't feel so emotionally wounded about it and so that they could salvage the friendship. They didn't. But we're 16. Like these were very complicated emotional issues. And when you're 16, like the thought of losing your social tribe it's catastrophic. It's the only thing that matters. Especially when you're a teenager, your social inclusion needs are much, much higher. It's the first time in your life you are realizing your social inclusion needs and trying to modify your behavior and work within that so that you feel like an autonomous adult, ironically, by being part of a tribe. Because you're trying to move away from the family structure and into an adult structure, and that's how you do it. So get some perspective. Maybe you are taking this personally, and again, not that it's not going to feel personal, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be hurt. You absolutely can be hurt. But when you get a sense of someone's motives, you can start to reason through it. And like I said, you can get that objectivity that you're like, all right, this wasn't about me. This was about her. With Demi, it was about Selena. It was about her. Yo, you live in LA. There's therapists everywhere. They're earning their money with her. And you can get that perspective and be like, all right, it's not just about me. It's maybe more about her. And then again, you can try to see if you can salvage that relationship. Because when you get that why, here's why maybe she's doing that. Here's why she's decided to slide into the DMs of the guy that I've been talking to for 3 weeks. If you can enlist another friend, because I know when we feel betrayed, objectivity is like a Herculean effort. That's never going to happen. So if you can get some objectivity from someone else, a more neutral and fair and balanced third party, you can get a sense of that why. But here's where things get messy. A lot of people in our lives aren't fair and balanced. A lot of people are the equivalent of people chanting in the Coliseum for gladiators to fight and kill. They're going like this. They're circled up outside the quick stop going, fight, fight, fight. They want a fucking spectacle. I see this in my line of work all day long. And we have to recognize this in our personal life because it's going to come in a variety of ways. These egger honors, these people who are trying to disrupt your peace and actually don't want a harmonious relationship, whether or not they're aware of this being their motive, probably not. They're probably not up in the morning like, today I destroy a life. But they're like, their behavior pulls them in that direction and they're going to use a variety of ways. Like, you need to confront her. If you think you're a good friend to her, you need to confront her and you need to stand up for yourself and It comes in the form, it's packaged as shaming. Shame on you if you don't do this. You're a coward. You're a this. Evaluate what's truly best for you and your peace and what's best for the relationship. If you want to hang on to this relationship, you got to approach it from a spirit of peace versus victory. Talk about that all the time because peace and victory do not walk hand in hand. They are mortal enemies. And if you want peace, sometimes, truly, the best thing is to say nothing, to let it go. If you feel like a friend has wronged you and you have gotten just a sliver of objectivity and you're like, okay, I don't really think that she's doing this just to hurt me. I'm not going to turn this into World War III. I'm just going to let it go, right? Okay, now maybe you can salvage that relationship, but if it keeps happening, you can do something. This is sort of how Selena and Demi's friendship went. They've had a very rocky friendship. I didn't know this until I read about it. Why would I know it? But like they were BFFs, like dating back from the Barney days. And then there was this schism that happened in like 2010. And at one point, some interviewer was like, asked Demi, like, how's Selena? And she's like, ask Taylor. And that, I think, truly is the root of their discord. I think Demi felt really left behind when Selena became better friends with Taylor Swift. I mean, Taylor's a huge star. Like, you can't deny that. Her star was on the rise. I think Demi has some body image issues. I think maybe she felt like Demi was leaving her for a thin person. You know, I think it kicked up a lot of stuff for Demi. And they were on the outs for like a while. Demi said something like, you know, if someone's really your friend, they're not going to let their other friends and family be mean to you. And again, I think she was maybe talking about Taylor Swift. I don't know. Who knows? But then they got like back on better footing and things seemed to be okay for like the next few years. Demi went to rehab. Maybe she was like making amends, you know, during the whole process. And then shit like completely hit the fan in the last few years. Unfollowed each other, whatever. And then now this, and then even just like, what was it, last week, Demi's like, I wish Selena the best, but we're not friends, or whatever she said. It's like, well, I would say that's true. If you have a Finsta account against her, I'd say that, yeah, you guys probably aren't friends. Imagine if she was just like, oh, I hate her, I have a hate account against her, you just don't know which one it is. Have fun finding it. Wouldn't that have been like such an Easter egg hunt? Imagine. So in that case, and I know a lot of you guys, like I was talking with some of you guys on Instagram, that like this exact scenario happened with you in your life. You were the Selena and you made other new friends, and your old friends felt discarded and fucking lost it and started talking a ton of trash, slandering you, all of this stuff. And you did not know where this vitriol was coming from. Again, it's that tribal thing. And it's funny how hurt people hurt people. Demi felt abandoned by Selena, her tribesman. And then to do that, to like balance out that power, she became the betrayer herself, you know? Hurt people. And so she decided to perpetrate the same crime she felt Selena had committed. And we see that a lot in our own private relationships. And I had a friend, like I've talked about this before, like when I was in freshman year, like I went to a very small middle school. We were nerds, and we all came into this much bigger high school together where a lot of the social cliques had already been formed because they had all grown up together. And I was like, I'm deciding I'm going to become popular. I'm going to be prom queen, ASP president. I was. And my two best friends had very, very different reactions. One of them was like, great, do you? I kind of want to make some different friends too. You know, we're all still together. It's all still love. And another one was like, fuck you leave me. And I was never like, I'm done with you. It's like, I want to make more friends and I want us all to like branch out, you know? It was never an either or. She's like, she spent years talking shit about me, like wouldn't accept my Facebook requests, like just crazy shit. One of those women was in my wedding, and the other one, like I had to block. And that it goes back to there. It goes back to that day at school where I said that and she was like, you fucking betrayed me. And it's like, why did one girl have such a different reaction and the other one was supportive? It's interesting because it's like, I think one of them had a much healthier family structure, you know? And she's still my good friend, and she was that warm-blooded animal, and she had that core of self-esteem that she's like, okay, I don't take this personally. I recognize that Shallon like can be friends with whoever she wants, and that doesn't mean that she doesn't like me. Going out to eat doesn't mean you don't like your mom's cooking. There's enough seats at the table for all of these things to coexist. My other friend who freaked out didn't have a very strong family structure. She had a mom who told her that women couldn't be trusted. She was like very adversarial herself. And so this was that confirmation bias that we talk about kicking in, where Mimi was like, Shallon is betraying me. See, I can't trust women. And it was like she was conflating all of these things in her head that were not true. They weren't true. She was just sort of like imagining this and then applying it to real life and calling it fact. She was projecting. And it spelled the end of our friendship. And she just got, I think, really bitter. And it's like, for what? Like, where did that get you? It was very strange. So when you get to the why of what's happening, then you can go to your friend and be like, hey, I'm not going to lie and say I'm not upset you're running for clubs commissioner. I am. But talking with Kristen, I feel like I have a better understanding of why. And so I just kind of wanted to talk it out with you because I am really hurt and I don't want that to be festering beneath the surface of our friendship. I want to like yank out that psychological splinter that this YouTuber Shallon Lester talks about and get back to a good place. But like, I can't just like let this go. And I can't not feel betrayed. So can we talk about it? And again, if you get this bratty response, sorry, you're so pressed that I'm running against you. Oh, are you afraid of me? You think I won't win? I'm gonna fucking body you in this election. Okay, that is an answer. It's all data. Reactions are data. And a lot of times we think silence is not data. Silence is some of the biggest data ever. If you have people who won't talk about something, we talked about this yesterday in the video about Instagram models. And if your boyfriend refuses to talk about this with you, that is data too. Because like, I might not want to hear what you have to say, but I need you to care enough to say it. You know, if you don't care enough, you're dismissive of me, you're minimizing my feelings, you're gaslighting me, and you're unplugging from this relationship. And it's like, those are data points, beep, bop, boop, boop, that I am 1000% logging. Because you can't get blood from a turnip. If this friend has absolutely like, tough, sounds like a fucking you problem. Okay, like, okay. My big betrayal that I alluded to earlier was when I was, like, I had a best friend through high school and college, sisters. We did everything together. Well, that carried over into her doing my boyfriend, the boy that I, like, my first love, lost my virginity to him. They hooked up, but like not in high school or college. It's not like, oh, we were drunk around a keg and whatever. It's like, okay, we're all adolescents and idiots. We were like 24. And I'm like, they both lived in Los Angeles, not like a small town where there's just no other options. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like shattered. I was shattered because she was always like this princess. Like everyone loved her. I felt like, you know, Gaston's little sidekick, LeFou. I felt like LeFou. Like she was tall and beautiful and skinny with big natural boobs and so smart. And I was just like, the one man who wanted me instead of you, and you had to take him from me. Why? And because he and I were getting back together at that point, like, and he's the one who confessed it to me. She didn't confess it to me. He's like, I need to tell you I slept with her. And I was like, I'm sorry. I just listened. I thought you said you slept with my best friend. And I was just like stunned. And I went to our other mutual friend and I'm like, what the I was going to like rip my friend apart. I was going to absolutely rip Caitlyn to pieces. And Jen was like, you have to look at this not as a betrayal of you. You have to look at this as a deficiency of her. Caitlyn's no longer that beautiful, perfect girl you remember from high school. Like that's how you hold her. But the rest of the world doesn't see her that way. She's like, kind of whatever. She's a small fish in a big pond now in Los Angeles. And of course she hooked up with a dude from high school who also still sees her as that golden girl. She needed to stand in the light of that admiration, of that nostalgia, because she's not getting it anywhere. She doesn't get that feeling, that ego need met. My friends are really smart. And I was like, okay. Now I can get my head around this. Now this isn't just such an attack, such an obvious attack. Very rarely do people attack us who are completely healthy. You know, people lash out. That's why it's called lashing out, because they're working through some emotional deficiency. I experience this all the time in my line of work, all the time. And it's like, respond. It's like, I don't need to respond to people who are so clearly broken, you know, or who are working through their own needs for attention, lack of direction, whatever it might be on my back. Like there's no real benefit to me. But that's like for strangers. For friends, you know, it's like, I don't want to lash back. And so I felt good that I had some sort of explanation for her behavior, because then when I went to her in a place of peace, in a spirit of peace, because I didn't want to lose my best friend. Like, that was horrible to me, because I also was going to lose him. I was like, I have to throw both of you out. This is just so gross and incestuous now. So I went to her. I was like, hey, I heard you slept with James. I am fucking crushed. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, this is, of all the men in Los Angeles, Kate, of all the men in Los Angeles, you had to go for James. And I'm like, but I talked with Jen and she gave me some insight about how you might be feeling. And it made a lot of sense to me. And I just that's all I said. I didn't say what the truth was. I wanted to see if she would say that. It's a classic interrogation technique. So I was like, I want to know what you have to say for yourself, essentially. And she did not fucking cop to it. I gave her this layup of self-awareness, of contrition, of explanation, of putting the genie back in the bottle, and she fucking bungled it. She bungled it. She was like, I will always love you. I will always love you. That's all she said. She didn't even say, I'm sorry. She didn't even say, you know what? Honestly, I don't know why I did it. So what did Jen have to say? Like, I'm lost about this too, and I feel bad, and I don't want to feel bad because I know I hurt you and I don't want to hurt you. Like, there was no insight at all. There was no introspection. And if there's no insight, and if there's no introspection, guess what else there isn't? Apology. There's no regret. Maybe on some level she does regret it. Maybe she regrets it now. But I'm not going to wait around and have a front row seat to a whole theater of pain while someone catches the fuck up to how they should actually be acting and how they should actually be acknowledging the consequences of their decisions. Why would I do that? Why would I put myself emotionally in harm's way like that? Again, there's no benefit. So that's why I had to leave that friendship behind. Not because she slept with my boyfriend, but because she had zero inclination to understand why she did it and communicate that to me, which was the most important part. Maybe she does. Maybe she was completely aware of it. But part of being a good friend is being like, I hurt you, but here's why I hurt you. Because I don't want you to think that you just are a bad person, that I was hurting, or I'm a bad person, that you just deserved all of this heartbreak. Like, this was me. This was coming from me, because it always comes from there. It always comes from the Demi. Well, it comes from the Selena too, trust me on that. But in that situation, like, it's coming from that person's pain. And that is something that they got to acknowledge if they want to keep friends in their life. So sometimes the writing is just on the wall. And it's okay if you think someone has wronged you. If you go into this, you're like, I know her. I know she's not going to have something relevant to say. I know she's not going to have all this awareness. You can go into it with the spirit of season ending. And you can say, you know what, Caitlin, truly, and I'm not saying this to be sarcastic, I truly don't expect an apology from you. Like, I know you better than that. And I feel like what you did was so deliberate in so many ways that I don't really feel like you care to save this friendship. This really feels like such a calculated personal attack. But I just want you to know that, like, I want us to go forward separately on our separate paths, just with no bad blood, I guess, the season has come to an end, and that's the way it is. And I'm not going to sit around and talk shit about you. And I think it would be a very poor red flag for your character if you did that to me, but I just want you to know that that's not what I'm going to do. I just kind of release you with love back into the world, and clearly that's probably what's going to happen with Demi and Selena. I don't think there's any chance that these two are going to be friends going forward. That's like pretty much crossing the Rubicon. Like, can you imagine if your friend made a Finsta about you? And I'm sure some of you guys have experienced that. I'm sure you've experienced that. It's a crazy, insane time, and it's so deeply wounding. But what you have to remember is that not everyone's going to treat you like this. They won't. You have ride or dies in your life. And if people aren't that for you, let them go. It's okay. It's hard. It's hard. We don't want to lose our tribes, but we understand that we got to trim dead ends with our hair. We got to trim dead ends with the people in our lives too. And it's better to be alone but at peace, or have one really good friend, your one friend from third grade who she's the math nerd and you're the lacrosse player, but you guys love each other and you ride for each other. That's okay. life is really long and there's so many more friends to be made, but just learn from this and be like, okay, maybe there was red flags into Caitlyn's behavior. Maybe I could have seen this coming, but not always. I mean, truly not all. I don't think any of us saw this coming with this Demi thing. It's so weird. But so not always. And don't feel like if you don't learn a ton that it's failed. It's not. It's not. Sometimes this has to happen to get bad people out of your life. Because I would rather know that someone's my enemy. I don't want enemies, but I would rather know which side of the fence you're on than have you in my life, but you're a fake. It's quality over quantity. So when someone betrays you, when they're not sorry, when they have zero inclination to introspection, that is the holy triumvirate of someone who's got to go. Time to get out of the life. For more, click like and subscribe. We're doing a video every single day in quarantine, and follow me on Instagram at shallonlester. I let you guys weigh in on this topic, and tomorrow, Tiger King. I let you guys weigh in on the Tiger King topic, and I think we're basically just going to do a mishmash of all the topics suggested because there's just so much to unpack. And yes, there is this theory. There's a wild theory being floated by doctors about what's fueling this behavior. You're going to go bananas. I want to know your thoughts on this Demi who knows? It's a mess. All right, Shalloners, love you. See you later. Mwah!